Hello, we are Diego, Erika, Adelina, Armando and Rodrigo, and in this video we are going to talk about the Great War and totalitarian regimes, especially Stalinism, and its characteristics, ideologies, events, causes and consequences.
The First World War is sometimes described as a huge group of wars that happened simultaneously in the same place. As such, it had many causes. A generalized summary is identified by the main acronym.
Militarism. This consists of an elevated military spending. For example, Britain had a huge, very powerful navy. Because of its overseas colonies, Germany tried to build a navy that would rival Britain's, and this made other nations feel nervous.
Many countries got into the alliance systems. Britain, France, and Russia were in the Triple Entente. Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy were in the Triple Alliance. Each country would help their allies in case of war. The danger in these alliances was that an argument between just two countries could potentially drag most of the European powers into a fight. Austria-Hungary versus Serbia, for example.
Imperialism. European nations colonized weaker countries. The purpose was to build up a nation wealth and influence by owning colonies. The countries that did not have colonies wanted them, giving some nations yet another reason for war.
Nationalism is a pride in one's country, thinking that one nation is superior to all others. However, none of these became direct causes of conflict. They just set the dominoes. The final, relatively unimportant event that ignited the war was the assassination of the Archduke Franz Ferdinand.
Poison gas was probably the most feared of all weapons in the World War I. Poison gas was indiscriminate and could be used on the trenches even when no attack was going on. A poison gas attack meant soldiers needed to wear primitive gas masks, and if these were unsuccessful, the gas could leave a victim blind and in agony for days and weeks before he finally succumbed to his injuries.
The concept of strategic bombing targeted airstrikes on a particular location didn't exist before the conflict. The operation of aerial warfare changed that, and also robbed the British of the protection provided by the English Channel. The Zeppelin allowed Germany to bring the war to the English homeland.
Thousands of men died in the trenches every day. Some were buried alive by their own dugouts. Another problem was rat infestation. Thanks to the unsanitary conditions in the trenches, they grew to the size of a cat. Rats carried diseases, contaminated the food, and the lices drove mad hundreds of men, and also caused the deadly trench fever.
Finally, the trench foot, which was another medical condition peculiar to the trench life. It was a fungal infection of the feet caused by cold, wet, and unsanitary trench conditions. It could turn gangrenous and require an amputation.
Germany had to accept responsibility for starting the war and had to agree to pay for the damages, set at 6.6 billion in 1921. No German troops were allowed in the Rhineland, the area of Germany closest to France. Germany was not allowed to unite with Austria, which would be known as Anschluss. The Treaty of Versailles was a dictated peace, as Germany was not allowed to negotiate the terms.
The Germans felt mistreated and oppressed. Those that did not ridicule them simply hated them. Besides, the debt was so huge that they didn't even finish paying it until 2010. All of this was bad enough, but when the Great Depression hit, the people truly yearned for an energetic, decisive leader to restore German glory. Adolf Hitler fit the role perfectly.
The characteristics of the Great Depression are that there was a great disparity between familial income and the family's needs and customary consumption level. Another characteristic is that there was 25% of unemployment, and another characteristic is that 0.1% of the population had the 46% of the total income of the country.
Stock market crash. In October of 1929, stocks became right next to worthless, literally from one day to the other. Since many Americans had just discovered the stock market and saw it as easy money, many people kept a huge part of their earnings in stocks. The crash ate away an important part of their money.
Bank failures. In 1930, a rumor spread that the banks would lose all their money and would not be able to pay their clients. This caused a lot of people to rush to their banks and get their money out, which quickly drained the bank's deposits, causing one of history's worst self-fulfilling prophecies. Bank deposits were uninsured and barely regulated, and thus a bank failed, people simply lost their savings.
American economic policy with Europe. As businesses began failing, the government created the smooth holy tariff in 1930 to protect American companies. This charged a high tariff for imports, thereby leading to less trade between America and foreign countries, along with some economic retaliation.
Totalitarianism is a political system with an all-powerful leader who controls all aspects of public and private life. Often, a cult is developed around the leader with the use of propaganda, aimed mainly at the young, and the elimination or oppression of all those people that oppose him. Further, his regime is usually supported by an ideology and achieved with a violent elimination of the previous system.
The Treaty of Versailles made the Germans angry and longing for revenge. Adolf Hitler did not have much difficulty in using the sentiments to justify his totalitarian government. Also, Italy had fought on the winning side of World War I, and still the treaty did not reward them. Because of this, they were also angry and looking for a leader to satisfy their wishes. Benito Mussolini took advantage of the situation.
Another big cause was the Great Depression, which hit many countries in Europe. The people felt fear and despair as they saw poverty spreading, so they flocked to the leaders that promised a brighter future in exchange of their total obedience.
Totalitarianism was what the people demanded but not what they expected. They were looking for the leader that would bring them to glory and would end all economical or social problems of their life, but the only thing that they gained was war, imprisonment, deaths, fear, and outspokenness. Joseph Stalin. He was born on December 18, 1878, but he later changed to December 21, 1879. According to himself, he joined the revolutionary movement at age of 15 when he became connected with Russian Marxists.
In 1903, he was banished to Siberia, and there he started to exchange letters with Lenin. And Stalin later said that this left a huge impression on him. In 1922, he was elected General Secretary of the Communist Party, and he succeeded Lenin after his death in January 21, 1924. Although against Lenin's wishes, he later played political tricks against Leon Trotsky, his main opponent, and got rid of him.
Now that the power was his, he would rule with a very strict fist, immediately silencing anyone who opposed him. He became one of the main examples of a totalitarian dictator. Before World War II, he signed a non-aggression pact with Hitler in 1939, but his later participation against the Axis is often considered essential to the late victory. He died in March 1st, 1953, because of a stroke.
Lenin had allowed a small-scale private enterprise in his new economic policy, but Stalin abandoned it in 1928. He also created a program of very rapid industrialization. In just 10 years, he expected to achieve levels of industrialization that the Westerns had only reached after 100 years. Initially, the system didn't work, so he killed most people involved and created the 5-year plans. Anyone who didn't reach the targets was considered an enemy of the state. As a first step, he ordered the collectivization of agriculture.
This meant that small farms were combined into groups large enough to make mechanization affordable. Whoever resisted was disposed, sent to labor camps, or executed. Farmers didn't like this, and production actually dropped. In short, his economic system was a good example of a totalitarian system. The government controlled all means of production, and Stalin controlled the government. This can be called total command economy.
Marxism was created by Karl Marx. He used ideas of social Darwinism and class struggle, and identified 6 historical stages of class development, from the primitive classless hunter-gatherers to the industrial capitalism, and he predicted that the 7th stage would be communism, a classless, conflictless, and plentiful heaven.
Leninism. It was a variation of Marxism invented by Lenin. Lenin mostly followed Marx's ideas on economics, of his real change was actually in politics, where he had some democratic and centralist ideas. The party had to vote for a new agreement, but after it won to be approved, all the members of the party had to give their consent.
Although Marxism-Leninism was the official ideology of the Soviet Union, many people thought that Stalin did not follow their ideas. As such, the term Stalinism was coined. It has 6 main characteristics: state-controlled economy, difficulty in movement between occupations, political control over cultural life, dictatorship based on forceful coercion with the use of secret police and repression, politicization of all aspects of life, and a glorification of revolutionary ideals, despite their replacement.